Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is sharing with you my October TBR. So I have picked my own TBR this month, just because I wanted to read some books that was a bit more Halloween themed, if that makes sense. So I've picked my own TBR. I do have 5 books on my TBR this month. I don't know how I'm going to get on with reading them, but we'll see. Let's get into the video. So the first book on my October TBR is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. I am a massive theatre fan, musical theatre, just any theatre in general, and I did go and see the stage show of this a couple of years ago and really enjoyed it, and the film is due to come out in November, so I wanted to read this before the film come out and thought it would be a nice book for October, maybe Halloween time. So yeah, that's why I picked this one. It does say on the back, long before Dorothy follows the yellow brick road and triumphs over the Wicked Witch of the West, a little girl with emerald green skin is born in the land of Oz. Elphaba grows up to be smart and prickly, a lonely outsider with an extraordinary talent for magic. Arriving at university, she dares to believe she might finally fit in. But Oz isn't the haven she dreamed of. Some of its citizens are in grave danger, and Elphaba is determined to protect them from the wizard's power. And when the world declares her a wicked witch, Elphaba takes matters into her own hands. So yeah, this is basically the story of the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz, if you've ever seen that, and how she became the Wicked Witch of the West. It's, like it says on the blurb, her story through university. Like I say, I did see the stage show a few years back and really enjoyed it, so I am really excited to read this. It has been on my shelf for a couple of months, but I've been waiting for October specifically to read it. So yeah, this is book 1. Book 2 is a book on my Kindle. I will put a little picture of the cover there just so you can see it. And it is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I think I've said that right, I'm not entirely sure. But I've heard really good things about this online. I've heard it's really twisty, and I do love a twisty thriller. And I thought that I've got to put a twisty thriller in my October TBR, because what better time to read a twisty thriller than around Halloween? I do have the blurb on my Kindle here. It does say, Alicia Berenson lived a seemingly perfect life until one day 6 years ago when she shot her husband in the head 5 times. Since then, she hasn't spoken a single word. That's all it says. It's only a couple of sentences, but I think that's really intriguing. I think it's going to be one of them ones that keeps you guessing all the time. And I love a thriller like that, so I am so excited to read it. Like I say, I've heard amazing things about it online. Loads of people are raving about it on the internet, so I do really want to read it. I'm really excited for that one. So yeah, that's book 2. For book 3, this is one I've had on my shelf a while. I got it in a 3 for £6 deal at the works ages ago and thought it would be perfect to save for October time. And it is Angelica Frankenstein Makes a Match by Sally Thorne. And it says on the back, for generations, every Frankenstein has found their true love and equal, unlocking lifetimes of blissful wedded adventure. Clever, pretty, and odd, Angelica Frankenstein has run out of suitors and fears she may become the exception to this family rule. When assisting in her brother Victor's groundbreaking experiments to bring a reassembled man back to life, she realizes that having an agreeable gentleman convalescing in the guest suite might be a chance to let a man get to know the real her. When her handsome scientific miracle sits up on the lab table, her hopes for an instant romantic connection are thrown into disarray. Her resurrected beau, named Will for the moment, has total amnesia and is solely focused on uncovering his true identity. Trying to ignore their heart-pounding chemistry, Angelica reluctantly joins the investigation into his past, hoping it will bring them closer. But when a second suitor emerges to aid their quest, Angelica wonders if she was too hasty inventing a solution. Perhaps fate is not something that can be influenced in a laboratory. or its will, or whatever his name is, her dream man, tailored for her in every way. It sounds like a romance, but with a twist. And like I say, I thought it'd be a really good one for Halloween, with it being the whole reassembled man sort of situation. But it sounds like it's right up my street, and I'm really, really looking forward to reading this one. I've never really heard a lot about this one online. I've never really seen it about. I just saw it in the works that one day and I was intrigued by it, so I picked it up. But I think I'm really going to like it. So hopefully it lives up to my expectations. But yeah, this one's book 3. So for book 4, again, it's another one on my Kindle, so I will put the cover up here. And it is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I did read The 7 Year Slip earlier on this year and I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm really excited to read another one of her books. Again, it's got a romance element to it, but she tends to write romance with a twist. And I like that. I've got the blurb here on my Kindle. It says Florence Day is a ghostwriter with one big problem. She's supposed to be penning swoon-worthy novels for a famous romance author, but after a bad breakup, Florence no longer believes in love. And when her strict but undeniably hot new editor, Benji Andor, won't give her an extension on a book deadline, Florence prepares to kiss her career goodbye. When tragedy strikes and Florence has to head home, the last thing she expects to see is a ghost at her front door. Not just any ghost, however, but the stern form of her still very hot, yet now unquestionably dead, new editor. As sparks start to fly between them, Florence tells herself she can't be falling for a ghost, even an infuriatingly sexy one. But can Benji help Florence to realise love isn't dead after all? So, like I say, Ashley Poston tends to write romances, but with a bit of a twist. So they're not stereotypical romances. When I read 7 Year Slip, it was about a love that happened 7 years in the past. Every time the character went into her apartment, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but every time she went into her apartment, she'd either stay in the present or go 7 years in the past, and she ended up falling in love 7 years in the past. She's also wrote another one called A Novel Love Story, and it's a love story set in the town of a storybook, I believe. That one is on my TBR, but I've not got round to it yet. So she does tend to write love stories, but not in the traditional sense, and I really, really like that about her books. So I am really excited to read more of her work. So that's going to be a really interesting one, I think, and it's one I'm really excited for. So that's book 4 on my October TBR. And then for book 5, it is Hex Education by Maureen Kilmer. And this one, again, gave me Halloween vibes, so I thought I'd save it for Halloween. It says on the back, a guilt-ridden former coven is forced to tap into the magic of the past to stop their lives going up in flames. Beauty, grace, and a resting witch face. 20 years ago, Sarah, Katrina, and Alicia were inseparable. In college, they discovered their affinity for magic and practiced in secret, until their most ambitious spell went horribly wrong, resulting in a catastrophic fire that burned down their college dorm building, and the coven scattered. Now, Sarah Nelson has built a life for herself, working as a luxury realtor with her doting husband and 2 children. She could be any other mother in the neighbourhood. Until now, their magic has lain dormant. Then, the former coven reunites, and their magic no longer wants to stay hidden, and a true crime podcast host turns up, desperate to find out what really happened the night of the fire. As it grows more and more difficult to hide the magic and the past, Sarah, Katrina, and Alicia must once again gather to harness their power and keep their secrets safe. So, this sounds like it's got a really interesting concept. I do really like the idea of a true crime podcast. That sounds really interesting. I did get this in a 3 for £6 deal at the works again, so I haven't seen a lot online. I just seen it in the shop that day and picked it up. But yeah, it gives me really interesting vibes, and I'm really, really excited to read it. I'm not entirely sure what to expect, but I think it's going to be good. So we'll see what happens with this one. Right, so just to recap, my 5 books on my October TBR are Wicked by Gregory Maguire, The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne, The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and Hex Education by Maureen Kilmer. So that is the end of my October TBR video. If you do have any book recommendations, please leave them in the comments below, because I do love to get book recommendations. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, please like, comment and subscribe underneath, and I will see you all again next week.